What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing. We're back with another video, and in today's video, guys, I wanted to finally discuss my thoughts on Bond after his release on JP. And for you global players that are going to be summoning for him, I kind of wanted to talk about his kit and really discuss if he is a good character or not, because a lot of people in the community have been like discussing, you know, Bond himself as a character and how he fares in the meta. And I just wanted to give my 2 cents on how I feel about Bond right now and where I think he can go from here. So let's hop into the video and kind of discuss it. I'm going to pull up GC database here and we'll look at his kit together, and then I'll kind of explain my experience I've had with the character and how I feel he can fare in the meta, or if he's just not going to be a really viable character at all. Alright guys, so we have Bond's kit pulled up here on GC database. Let's actually discuss his kit now and talk about the pros and the cons about this Bond and why I feel like he does have some good things in his kit, but there are some things that are a little bit questionable for a very recent and especially light attribute festival. We have to really think about this, right? So if we go to Bond's passive right here, grant the hero Domain of Extortion. Domain of Extortion is going to be minus 20% damage taken by the 7 Deadly Sins allies, which I think that first part of the Domain of Extortion is really good, right? Obviously just minus 20% damage taken from sins is just outright really good. It's a nice supportive ability. When the allies damage enemies, decreases attack related stats of all enemies by 2% for 2 turns, max of 5 debuffs. And that attack related lower, I feel like, is one of the big gripes in his kit, right? It's 2%, guys. So the max amount of attack related lower you're gonna get is only 10%, which is like, it's really nothing, right? It's really nothing. Like, imagine like Perg Melly had his 50% attack related up and you lowered it by 10%. He still has 40% attack related up, right? Like, it's not a big difference in taking out you know, like stats in general. I feel like that's definitely really low. It could have been like 3% maybe, or like, you know, 5%. I feel like 5% probably would have been fair. You know what I mean? Like 5 times 5, 25. So you have 25% attack related lower. That's solid. That's half of Perg Melly's 50% attack related up, right? I feel like that would be fair if you're able to get all of those off. So that's one thing I feel like is a gripe in his passive that he could have definitely benefited more from, right? Obviously more of an attack related lower, right? And then moving on to the rest of his passive here, guys. For every 7 Deadly Sins ally, increase the hero's HP related stats by 5%. So this is a thing where it's like, okay, Bond isn't really right here. I thought initially, you know what it was? Initially when I looked at his kit and we got the like early translations, I was like, oh, it's a sins wide HP related bonus, but it's based on how many 7 Deadly Sins allies you have in the team that he gets HP related stats. And HP related stats really is mainly just like recovery rate, regeneration rate, lifesteal, the HP he has himself. And you know, that's not too crazy. Like, it's obviously nice to have, you know, having the extra lifesteal and stuff, but it's not going to be anything too crazy in the grand scheme of things, right? So yeah, I feel like this part of his passive was kind of a dud. It could have been maybe a higher amount of HP related stats, maybe if it was 10%, or maybe they just make this like, it couldn't have been all stats, maybe just basic stats, you know, or it could have just been a 7 Deadly Sins basic stat increase for the team. That probably would have been a better change right there as well. And then we move on to the final part of his passive here, guys, where when the hero attacks enemies marked with Mark of Concentration, which we'll talk about in his kit, crit damage will be dealt, and when a crit damage is dealt, removes the effect. So this is a problem as well with the Bond's kit, as I feel like the fact that you have to use the debuff skill and then into the attack skill for you to even do any damage at all, because you know the thing is, this second skill, which we'll talk about, is just not going to do a lot of damage unless you do this first skill. And that is probably the biggest issue with the Bond, is that it takes too much setup for you to do a ton of damage, right? You have to use the debuff skill and then the attack skill, and that's after you've applied a ton of the attack related lowers already anyway, for you to be able to do a ton of damage. So yeah, very annoying for the fact that you have to do that. You know, that just comes with this Bond, man. He unfortunately, this part of his passive is not the greatest. But then we go to his skills here, which this first card is going to be pierce single target, so times 3 pierce, but also applying the Mark of Concentration, which, as you guys remember, was from his passive, where if he applies this, the damage you're dealing will be guaranteed crits after you apply this debuff. So when you apply Mark of Concentration, which lowers the enemy's crit chance by 100%, I actually do like this debuff a lot. You're gonna be able to crit the enemy guaranteed when Bond attacks only, right? So the way they probably could have made this better would be if like Bond was able to maybe make Sin allies guaranteed crit, because imagine Ultimate Escanor being able to guarantee crit, man. Like, that would be such a good supportive ability, or something like that, right? Like, it really, because it's the only Bond, and the fact that you have to use this skill in the first place, it really does suck for the fact that Bond sometimes is not able to get the job done, right? So pierce single target, mark concentration, very cool. But then we move on to his second skill right here, which is snipe, which inflicts snipe damage equal to 450% attack on one enemy. That's at rank 3. For every debuff on the target, increase damage dealt by 25% up to 7 times, and then doubles crit damage as well. So you get a spike effect alongside the fact that you're getting kind of like an extra damage dealt per debuff effect, right? Which I think is kind of cool. But the one problem that Bond has here is that when he uses the skill, it has to be after this skill, or he's just not going to do damage. It's just been like, you know, no matter how many debuffs you have on the enemy and you use this skill, Bond is going to miss some crits, man. You have to use this skill first for this skill to be usable, which I think becomes an issue when using Bond, because it's like, okay, I have to waste 2 of my skills off the rip before I can even do damage with this skill. So that does become an issue, and which is mainly why the way I use Bond, I like to run him kind of as like a supportive type character, which, you know, Bond being on the team is there to give the damage reduction, to lower to lower enemies crit chance, right? That's the way I like to run Bond, because of the stipulations in his passive where he's kind of forced to be like kind of like a sub DPS, and he can do damage sometimes, right? Like, it's not really like I can't use Bond off the rip to just one bang every opponent, because that's just not how he works. Right, like you have to use, you have to apply a ton of debuffs, set up this mark of concentration debuff, and then nuke him with the spike, the snipe card, right? So that is something to take into account, guys. And then moving into his ultimate here, which is something I actually didn't know till like recently. So you know, forgive me with that. And also for you guys that watch my free-to-play showcase, I didn't know that Bond had a bonus for himself at 6 out of 6 for himself. So we'll talk about it when we get to it. But for his ultimate, for every debuff on the enemy, increase damage dealt to that enemy by 5% and inflicts power strike damage equal to 400% of attack on all enemies. Very, very good effect on his ultimate. And then the second part, which I did not know he had, I really didn't. I remember when we had the translation, I don't recall reading this part, but when the hero is on the battlefield, for every attack related stat reduction debuff on the enemy, increase the hero's attack related stats by 3% up to 9 times, which I saw that as like, okay, yo, that is kind of wild. You know what I mean? I didn't think he had that. And that multiplier actually does scale up as well, as you guys can see, going from 9% all the way up to the 30% attack related stats increase, which is kind of crazy. So me, in my free-to-play showcase, not knowing, okay, I had a 30% attack related up as well. So I definitely had it wasn't really a free-to-play showcase at the end of the day. I didn't really know. But it is attainable as free to play if you were to save gems like that. But anyways, that's a whole another topic for another video. But pretty much, guys, Bond is very well heavy, having that attack related increase. And I really didn't like using him at 6 out of 6. It felt like that should have been his normal usage as a unit. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like, you know, I had like a super crazy buff from his passive or anything like that, or from his ultimate. Like, I really didn't feel that 30% attack related up when I was using him, you know? So there is that. That's what I mean. Like, it's just, he is at 6 out of 6, but he wasn't like doing the craziest amount of damage. So that's why I decided to run Bond more as like a supportive type character. So we're kind of done on GC database now. But yeah, I like to run Bond as like a supportive type character on a team. Let me show you guys my PvP team that I like to run since you know, since I got to test him out. But yeah, I think overall, like, Bond is, it's kind of it's a hard thing to say, man, because Bond is not the greatest character. Oh, PvP is still being distributed right now. Okay, that's fine. But like the problem is with Bond is that you have to run him only in PvP, because PvE content he doesn't really work well in, because of the fact that he has to apply debuffs and he can't, you know, really benefit off of that. Another thing as well is that Bond really does lack in terms of team diversity. You only got really Queen Diane, Ultimate Escanor, and Infinity Merlin. Those are like the 3 characters you can kind of swap in and out, and you're not really going to be running anybody else on the team, right? Other than that, this is probably like the best team comp, or even like instead of a Queen Diane here, you'd run like Infinity Merlin, right? Something like that. And then you have like Fast Eldritch backline. Right, so overall, guys, how do I feel about the Bond? I feel like he's still a good character. He's obviously not a bad character, right? He's still good. It's just the problem is he's not Ultimate Escanor and Purgatory Meliodas. This is the one thing I have to preface. So when you guys are summoning on the banner, when it does come to global, bear in mind that Bond is not going to be a super top tier character even when high duped. Like, I have mine 6 out of 6 on my free to play, kind of got super lucky on my summons, but he still doesn't feel like an Ultimate Escanor type unit. He's not that guy on the team. I just want to preface that so you guys know. But maybe in the future he'll get like another buff or something, or like a team buff, like you'll get like a Sin character that comes out that makes him like super broken. But I can't say right now, guys. At the moment he's still just kind of a, you know, just a good character, but he's not a great character, you know, if you guys get my drift. But you still can run him on teams and still have success. It's just you're not going to be, you know, like winning like all the matches pretty much. He's not that guy. You know what I mean, guys? So I hope that I was able to kind of explain it for you guys and the way I feel about Bond personally at the moment. But let me know in the comment section below how you guys feel about him. Will you still be summoning on the banner regardless? I feel like it's still worth summoning. So I definitely feel like you guys should be summoning just for the fact that the banner itself is really good. But, you know, even if you do pick up Bond, he could become really good in the future. So it's not like necessarily a bad thing to get him now anyway, regardless, right? So yeah. That's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe as always. If you guys want to see more videos like this, definitely let me know in the comment section below. And I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Peace out and have a good rest of your day.